Well, it has indeed been 1 year since the historic Brexit vote, and uncertainty about what it really means for the UK and the EU still lingers. For more on this and how markets and economies have fared since that day, we're joined by an expert, Ashraf Laidi, Chief Executive Officer at Intermarket Strategy. He's in London. Ashraf, always good to spend time with you. Thank you for being available today. What is your read on the UK economy over the past year? The context, of course, was Mark Carney cautioning the UK electorate at some cost to himself that the consequences of a vote to leave the EU would not be good. He's recently revived those warnings in the most recent Bank of England statement. What has really happened to the UK economy over the past year?
Yeah, hi, Paul. Yeah, exactly. So the Brexit happened exactly a year ago. And if you take most of the soft data, the PMI indices, the soft data, it had declined, or those indices that are related to the confidence of constructions, of the manufacturing, of the services, those actually, Paul, fell in the 4 or 5 months ahead of a Brexit referendum. But once we got to the referendum, the soft data, not the hard data, the soft data bottomed, and it went and it pushed up, and it retraced most of the declines that we had seen from January 2016, February 2016 until June 2016. Now, for the GDP growth, it did pretty much the same thing. So it was weakening, and it went to as little as 0.1%. Then we saw a nice rebound in the quarter after the referendum, meaning in the third and the fourth quarter of last year. But guess what happened this first quarter? In this first quarter, reality is being set. So in this first quarter, we dropped back from as high as 0.7 to 0.2% GDP growth. When people said, hey, Mr. Carney, you were really pessimistic. And he basically said, wait a minute, Brexit has not even started. So, Paul, basically the sentence has been served, which was a year ago, but now the lawyers are trying to negotiate the sentence, but time has still yet to be done, and they still haven't done time.
Yeah, Ashraf, let me ask you a question. Do you think that this is likely to be, in the end, a hard exit or a soft exit?
Yeah. Yes, this is interesting because ever since Prime Minister Theresa May's disappointing showing, we no longer hear the statement, a bad deal is better, a bad deal is worse than no deal, or no deal is better than a bad deal. We don't hear these things from her words. That means a loss of a bargaining power, meaning that Theresa May is going to have to actually listen more than dictate and dictate less with the EU, which means in English, which could likely raise the chances of a softer exit. That might be relatively supportive for the British pound. However, I think the way we're looking at what the FTSE is doing, and it's struggling ahead, I think that if we see the pound supported and with economic uncertainty and the political uncertainty looming, that may not necessarily be very good for equities in the UK, but in a very general manner.
3 days ago, when he delivered his Mansion House speech, the Bank of England Governor, Mark Carney, said this: before long, we'll all begin to find out to the extent to which Brexit is a gentle stroll along a smooth path to a land of cake and consumption. Now, when I read that, I don't hear a lot of nuance about hard Brexit or soft Brexit. I hear the Bank of England Governor saying Brexit is going to be a big negative for this economy.
I agree, Paul. Okay, let's not mince anybody's words here. Okay, half of the people that voted to leave, they're probably having second thoughts, but we don't take their opinions as far as the economic analysis. Look, you take agriculture. Okay, so basically the UK relies for probably a third of their exports to the EU. But guess who picks the fruits? Who picks the apples? Who pick the 90% of the pickers are from the EU. So what are you going to do now? Are you going to give them the rights? So yeah, if you're going to give them the rights, you're going to have to ask for the rights for the UK citizens in the EU. That does not require an agreement of 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 countries, but or more than 25 nations. Okay, these 25 nations that to which you dictated them that you want to leave. Now you're going to go to them and you say, can I have my rights for my people in your nations, so I can give the same? I mean, we could go on and on. There is the difference between between staying in a single market and in a customs market. I think that once you stay in the single market, it's going to help the chances of a UK bank, and it's going to increase the movement of labor, and that's what they mean by a soft Brexit. So a Brexit, as it stands alone, is not good for the UK economy. A Brexit while staying in the customs union or in the single market, it is less bad. I.e., it's a softer Brexit.
Ashraf, I have one more question. This is an area that I really am not an expert in at all, and so maybe this question might be a little bit naive, but is there any chance at this point, this far along, that this really ends up becoming a non-event, that they actually don't go through with soft, hard, and they just do a bit of a turntail? Yeah. Is that a possibility?
Yeah. Nothing is impossible. It is a possibility. It is a possibility. I think half of the population. This country is already very, very divided. It's going to be very divided even more. I think that's what Macron, the French president, alluded to. And not only Macron, actually, Tusk, who is a big and EU, the bigwig there. He basically said, I hope there is a chance of return. Is it plausible? Look, it is possible. It is possible. It is feasible. But I don't think it's possible because the country had enough of elections. We've had election in 2015. We had a referendum in 2016. We had another election in 2017. What are they going to do? They're going to have another referendum after 6 months when things can we change our mind? So I think that, listen, people are and the parliament are responsible people. The mistakes have been done, and I don't mince my words. The mistake has been done. Now you have to get on with it. How are you going to get on with it? Are you going to get out of it with a softer manner or a hard manner? And unfortunately, most of the people that voted for Brexit, they were not thinking with the left brain or with the right brain.